Money-saving tips that actually work. No one told you these before. Have you ever noticed that most money-saving tips sound great on paper, but in real life, they just don't work? Or they work for a week and then disappear along with your motivation. The problem is that a lot of people keep repeating empty formulas, without explaining how to fit them into your daily life or being honest about what actually gets results. Today, you're going to discover the tips no one has told you before. These aren't the generic tricks you've heard 1,000 times. They're simple, smart, and proven actions that work even if your schedule is packed, even if you feel like you've already tried everything. We're going to talk about money without complication, but with the power to change your relationship with it in a practical and lasting way. Get ready to question habits that seemed harmless, spot where your money is leaking without you realizing it, and learn how to turn the game in your favor starting now. Because real savings begin when you understand how to make every choice work for your wallet, without having to cut everything that brings you joy. Money Made Easy helps you save with ease, peace of mind, and more time for life. The first step to truly saving money is understanding that there's no real savings without an honest diagnosis of where your money is going. Sounds basic, but this is exactly where most people fail. It's not because they don't want to save, but because they try to cut expenses without actually knowing where they're spending. It's like trying to go on a diet without knowing how many calories you're consuming. You might make an effort, but the numbers never add up, and frustration takes over. The most common mistake is believing that it's enough to stop eating breakfast out or to cancel a few streaming subscriptions. That might help, but it's the same logic as scooping water out of a sinking boat while ignoring the invisible hole. Real change comes when you stop guessing and start looking at the numbers head-on, without fear and without excuses. This is the moment to face your bank statements, credit card bills, and receipts from at least the last 3 months. Not to beat yourself up, but to spot patterns you've never noticed before. When you put all your expenses side by side, something powerful happens. The invisible costs start to take shape. That bank fee you forgot about, that impulsive in-app purchase that seemed harmless, those small charges on your card that mean nothing on their own but, together, could have turned into an investment or an emergency fund. This is the point where you start to feel in control, because you understand that saving isn't about cutting all pleasure, but about redirecting your money toward what truly matters. Now, it's not enough to just look at the past. You need to create a system so that this control is constant and doesn't depend on a fleeting moment of motivation. And here's the difference between those who try and those who succeed. Automate your tracking. Today, there are free apps and smart spreadsheets that categorize your expenses automatically, separating what's essential from what's non-essential. This turns a tedious task into a quick, almost automatic habit, and prevents you from losing track again. But here's the thing. The goal isn't to become a prisoner of numbers or to create such a rigid system that it's impossible to maintain. The goal is to create clarity. And clarity is power. When you know exactly where your money is going, every financial decision carries a different weight. You start to feel that quiet pride when you choose something aligned with your goal, because you know exactly what you're giving up and what you're gaining in return. That's the kind of mindset that builds true financial independence. What no one may have told you is that this first stage already starts saving you money before you cut a single expense. That's because the simple act of monitoring changes your behavior. It's like when you start wearing a step counter and, without realizing it, you move more just to hit your goal. When you see where your money is going, you naturally start spending more consciously. That's immediate savings without forced effort. From here, we're going to turn that control into practical action. You're going to learn how to take those numbers and turn them into a simple, realistic plan that works for your lifestyle. Because clarity means nothing if you don't know how to turn it into visible, lasting results. This is the moment when generic tips stop making sense and you move into having a personalized strategy that actually works for you. Knowing where your money is going is only the first step. Now it's time to turn that information into real power. And that means creating a plan that works for your life, not against it. A lot of people get lost here because they think saving is simply about cutting. Cutting coffee, cutting leisure, cutting the little things that make the day lighter. That's the perfect shortcut to failure, because no one can live in constant deprivation mode without feeling frustrated and eventually giving up. The right plan doesn't start with what you're going to take away. It starts with what you want to achieve. And here's something most people don't do. Put a clear, personal goal front and center. Writing "save money" as a goal doesn't work. It's too abstract and doesn't create real motivation. Say, "I want to have $1,000 in an emergency fund in 6 months." Or, "I want to pay off my credit card by the end of the year and travel guilt-free." The more concrete and emotional the goal, the easier it is to stay focused. With that goal in mind, we'll work with 3 layers: essential, important, and disposable. Essentials are everything that keeps your life running: housing, food, transportation. Important is what gives you quality of life and well-being, like a hobby or a service that saves you time. Disposable is what has no real impact on your well-being but quietly drains your budget. The secret isn't cutting the important, it's reducing the disposable. This is where you free up money without feeling like you're giving up the life you love. Here's a powerful detail: gradual adjustment. Instead of cutting 50% of an expense at once, reduce it by 10% and use the difference to feed your goal. Small reductions are almost unnoticeable in daily life, but they add up to impressive results over time. This is how you turn discipline into habit, and habit into a lifestyle. And there's more. Every time you tweak your budget, think impact swap. That means replacing a low emotional impact expense with something that has a high financial or positive emotional impact. For example, if you're spending $30 a month on something that makes no difference to your mood or day, that amount could be redirected to a travel fund or to speed up debt repayment. This process doesn't create a sense of loss. It creates a sense of achievement. Another key to success is automation. Set it so that, on the day your money hits your account, a portion automatically goes to savings, investments, or debt repayment. This removes the temptation to spend before you save. Saving stops being a daily decision and becomes a natural flow, like paying a fixed bill. When saving is automatic, you don't negotiate with yourself or sabotage your progress on impulse. What's going to set your results apart from everyone else's is consistency. It's not about having one perfect month. It's about having 12 consistent months. It's understanding that every adjustment, every choice, is bringing you closer to a result that will change your life. That's the difference between people who just consume tips and those who actually build financial freedom. In the next step, we'll talk about how to multiply the effect of this plan using a technique that will speed up your results without requiring more effort. It's like adding an extra engine to your boat. You're still headed in the same direction, but you'll get there much faster. And that's when the magic starts to happen. Now that you're clear on where your money goes and have a plan that works for your life, it's time to speed things up. And I'm not talking about working more hours, getting a second job, or cutting out everything that brings you joy. I'm talking about using what already exists in your routine, but in a strategic way, to create a rapid growth effect on your money. The technique we're going to use is what I call the immediate impact priority. It works like a filter that decides where every extra dollar will work the hardest for you. Here's how it works. Every extra amount that comes in or that you save during the month, whether it's a refund, an unexpected discount, one less payment, or even leftover money from your budget, goes straight to the goal that has the biggest impact on your financial progress. And what is that goal? It's the one that, once achieved, will free up more money in your budget or remove a huge burden from your life. If your credit card is eating up absurd interest, the immediate impact is to pay it off. Every dollar you put there today stops generating interest tomorrow. If you don't have an emergency fund, The immediate impact is to build one so the next unexpected event doesn't push you into credit. This prioritization turns every small win into a solid step forward, and progress becomes visible much faster. The reason this works so well is psychological. When you see tangible results quickly, your motivation skyrockets. It's different from putting money into a savings account and waiting months to feel any effect. Here, every action has a noticeable return, and that fuels the cycle of discipline and satisfaction. You start building a positive association with saving because you see the real impact on your life. Another powerful detail is that this technique works alongside what's already automated. In other words, your base plan keeps running normally, and this extra layer keeps boosting the results. It's like having a secret accelerated progress account where every extra cent becomes a shortcut to reach your goal faster. And to increase this effect even more, I recommend tracking each win. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. A note on your phone, a page in your planner, or even a photo of the amount you've accumulated at that moment. This visual record creates solid proof that you're moving forward. When you look back and see how much you've done, even with small amounts, you'll realize you're much closer than you thought. In the next step, we're going to turn this accelerated discipline into a safety net that prevents setbacks. Because there's no point in speeding up if any unexpected event can send you back to square one. This is where we build the part that will shield your progress and keep you in control, even when life tries to push you backward. Accelerating financial progress is great, but there's a problem almost no one talks about. What's the point of gaining speed if you don't have a system to hold on to what you've achieved? It's like filling a leaky bucket. Without protection, any unexpected event can drain everything you've built and throw you right back to square one. That's why, before we increase the pace even more, we need to create a safety net that keeps your money secure and your plan intact. The first layer of this protection is your emergency fund. And I'm not talking about a jar of coins or some random amount sitting in a savings account. I'm talking about a fund strategically designed to absorb the impact of unexpected events without forcing you to rely on credit or wreck your budget. For many people, 3 months of essential expenses is a good starting point. For others, 6 months offers more security. The important thing is that this money is set aside, easy to access in an emergency, but far enough out of reach that you won't dip into it on impulse. This fund works like an invisible shield. When your car breaks down, a medical expense pops up, or an unexpected bill arrives, you don't panic. You activate the shield, handle the problem, and keep following your plan without interruptions. This eliminates the domino effect that so often makes people give up on saving. An unexpected expense leads to credit leads to interest, and interest destroys months of progress. The second layer is the psychological insurance against setbacks. The habit of reviewing and adjusting. At least once a month, set aside time to calmly look over your finances and make sure you're still aligned with your goals. This prevents small deviations from turning into big problems. If you notice you're spending more in one area, offset it in another before the imbalance grows. It's like correcting a plane's course mid-flight. Small adjustments keep you on track without huge effort. The third layer is controlling the entry and exit points of your money. This means protecting your budget from unnecessary new fixed expenses and filtering any recurring charges. Subscriptions, services, installments, anything that becomes a regular expense in your life needs to pass one test. Will this bring me closer to or further from my goal? If the answer isn't clear, the decision should be no. This simple discipline keeps your budget from being slowly drained by commitments that have no real value for you. The most important thing about this protection is that it doesn't have to be heavy or bureaucratic. It's a structure that works in the background, freeing your mind to focus on growth instead of worry. When you know you're protected, you can put more energy into acceleration strategies, confident that even if something goes wrong, you're safe. In the next step, we'll move from defense to multiplication mode. This is where you take everything you've built so far and start making your money work for you, not just sitting still but growing. And it's at this stage that many people begin to feel true financial freedom taking shape. Here's your translation into American English. The time has come to change the role money plays in your life. Up until now, every step has been about organizing, protecting, and accelerating. But there's a limit to how much you can save just by cutting expenses and reallocating resources. True financial freedom begins when your money starts working for you. When every amount left over at the end of the month becomes a silent ally, generating more money without you having to work extra hours. Many people think investing is complicated, risky, or something reserved only for those who already have a lot. That's a myth. Investing isn't about gambling. It's about putting your money in places where it earns more than it would just sitting in your account. And we're not talking about getting rich overnight, but about building a system where every dollar you save starts to grow on its own month after month. The first step to multiplying is understanding the difference between saving and investing. Saving is setting money aside so you don't spend it. Investing is putting that money to work so it generates returns. Both are important, but they serve different purposes. Your emergency fund, for example, should be in a safe and liquid place, ready to be used. But the money above that minimum safety amount is what moves into the multiplication phase. Here the key word is, start simple and start now. You don't need to understand every investment type in the world to take the first step. Begin with safe, low-risk options, such as government bonds, certificates of deposit from solid banks, or conservative funds. The initial goal isn't to chase the highest possible return, but to build the habit of investing regularly. This habit is more valuable than any single high interest rate because it builds discipline and consistency. To speed up the effect, use the same automation logic we applied to saving. Set a fixed amount to be invested as soon as the money hits your account. Don't wait to see what's left over at the end of the month, because what's left over tends to disappear. Treat investing like an essential bill, just like your electricity or water bill. This way you make sure financial growth is always happening, no matter what changes in your routine. And here's a detail that changes everything. Reinvest your earnings. Whenever an investment generates returns, don't use that money for immediate consumption. Reinvest it. This process of reinvesting creates the power of compound interest, which is like a double engine driving your wealth forward. In the beginning, the results may seem small, but over time, growth accelerates exponentially. Another way to multiply, even with a small amount, is to look for investments that pay monthly income. This way, you create a second source of revenue that can be reinvested or used to cover other expenses, freeing up more money to invest even more. This creates a cycle of continuous and predictable growth. This stage is about planting seeds and caring for them with patience. Don't expect the garden to bloom overnight, but understand that every contribution is a seed that will bear fruit in the future. This is when you start to feel you're building something solid, something that no longer depends solely on your daily effort. In the next part, we'll talk about how to increase the pace of this multiplication even more by creating multiple sources of income, without doubling your workload, but by using skills, assets, and opportunities you already have, perhaps without even realizing it. If you want your money to truly grow, you need to stop relying on a single source of income. No matter how secure it may seem, depending solely on a salary or one main client is like walking a tightrope without a safety net. At any moment, an unexpected event could cut off that single stream and jeopardize all the progress you've built. Creating multiple streams of income is like adding extra pillars to support your future. The more pillars you have, the more stable and secure your financial structure will be. The good news is that creating new income streams doesn't necessarily mean working double or losing sleep at night. Many times, the opportunity lies in making better use of what you already know, already have, or already do. Start by looking at your skills. Do you have knowledge you could teach? Can you turn a hobby into a paid service? Maybe it's something you already do for friends and family. Organizing finances, creating spreadsheets, cooking special dishes, pet care, or doing small repairs. What seems simple to you might be exactly what someone else is willing to pay for. Another way is to make use of what you already own. Have a spare room. Hosting platforms can turn that space into extra income. A car that sits idle part of the day. Ride-sharing apps, car rentals, or delivery services can generate returns. Even equipment like cameras, tools, and electronics can be rented out to people who need them for short periods. It's about turning forgotten liabilities into income-generating assets. If your time is limited, look for ways to earn income that are semi-passive or fully passive. Investments that pay monthly dividends, creating digital products, writing books, developing online courses, or even monetizing content on social media can become complementary income with minimal upkeep once the foundation is in place. The secret to creating multiple income streams sustainably is to start small and think long-term. Don't try to tackle 3 or 4 ideas at once. Pick one, validate it, make it work, and only then move on to the next. That way, each new stream adds to the previous ones without draining all your energy. Another important point. Keep the new income tied to your goal. If you're working to grow your wealth, that extra income shouldn't just be more money to spend. It should feed your investments, speed up debt repayment, or strengthen your emergency fund. This way, it's not just a temporary bonus. It becomes a lever for your financial growth. This diversification not only increases your capacity to build wealth, but also reduces risk. If one stream slows down or stops, the others keep the cash flow going. That creates a sense of security that completely changes how you deal with money and life decisions. In the next part, we'll talk about how to protect that growth and those new income streams from waste and impulsive decisions, so that every dollar that comes in keeps working for you instead of slipping through your fingers. Earning more money is exciting, but it's also a risky moment. Without a system to protect that income, you run the risk of falling into a trap that catches a lot of people. The more you earn, the more you spend. And you spend without realizing it, as if the increase in income were a free pass to relax your discipline. This is where the wheel turns backward, and even with new income streams, the feeling of financial strain remains. The first step to protecting your earnings is to create a barrier against impulse spending. This doesn't mean you'll never buy something for pleasure again. It means those purchases won't derail your goals. A simple and powerful rule is the waiting period. Whenever you feel the urge to make an unplanned purchase, wait 48 hours. This pause prevents decisions driven by the emotion of the moment and gives you clarity to decide if it's really worth your money. Most of the time, the desire fades, and the money stays in your pocket. The second step is to write down the destination of every dollar that comes in. This applies to both fixed and variable income. When you plan ahead, you avoid leaving money loose and vulnerable to random spending. This allocation should follow your priorities. Part for essentials, part for investments and growth, and a set percentage for leisure, done consciously. This division protects your income without removing the joy of enjoying what you've earned. The third step is to maintain a constant review process. Life changes, needs change, and your plan needs to change too. What's a priority today might lose importance tomorrow. By reviewing, you avoid holding on to expenses that no longer make sense and reallocate that money to something with real impact. This keeps your budget alive and adaptable, rather than rigid and outdated. Another critical aspect is protecting yourself against lifestyle creep, that tendency for expenses to rise in proportion to your income. It's tempting to raise your standard of living right away, but the real gain comes when you keep your lifestyle steady while increasing your income. This creates a powerful financial gap where the surplus can be directed toward investments, debt repayment, or new projects. Think of it like planting trees. The more you plant now, the more shade and fruit you'll have in the future. A practical tip is to physically separate the money that shouldn't be touched for immediate spending. Using different accounts, different banks, or even investments with slower withdrawals helps create a psychological and practical barrier against unnecessary expenses. When the money is in the same place as your day-to-day funds, it feels available. When it's separate, you think twice before touching it. Protecting your income isn't about limiting what you can do. It's about making sure the effort you put into earning that money isn't lost on decisions that bring no return. It's about building a solid foundation so that every step forward is permanent, not temporary. In the next part, we'll talk about how to create a monitoring system that not only tracks your progress but also keeps you motivated to continue, celebrating wins and making adjustments before any problem grows. If you want to maintain a sustainable financial journey, you need to understand that discipline doesn't mean eternal deprivation. No plan survives if it's built only on cutting, restricting, and waiting for a distant future to enjoy life. This is where strategic rewards come in. Small doses of planned pleasure designed to fuel your motivation without sabotaging the progress you've already built. The first rule is that the reward must be planned, not impulsive. That means deciding in advance when and how you'll treat yourself. It could be when you hit a savings goal, pay off a debt, or stay consistent with a habit for a set period of time. By tying the reward to a concrete milestone, you turn the joy of spending into positive reinforcement for your discipline, not a shortcut back to old habits. The second rule is that the reward must fit your budget. It sounds obvious, but many people treat themselves and end up undoing weeks of effort. That's why you should set a specific amount or percentage of what you earned or saved to use for these occasions. This way, you can enjoy the moment freely, without the guilt of putting your plan at risk. The third rule is to choose rewards that bring lasting emotional value. It's not about spending on just anything, but about investing in experiences or items that truly bring you joy and meaning. It could be a special dinner with loved ones, a short trip, a course you've wanted to take, or even something to improve your home environment. The more aligned the reward is with your values, the more it reinforces the importance of your effort. Another powerful tip is to make the reward visible before you achieve it. Put up a photo, description, or even a reminder in your planner or on your phone. This keeps the goal alive and creates a daily boost of motivation. Our brains work better when we have something concrete to look forward to, and visualizing that achievement increases willpower in your everyday life. The most important thing to understand is that strategic rewards aren't a weakness. They're a tool for consistency. They remove the feeling that saving is a constant sacrifice and turn the process into something more balanced and human. It's the point where discipline and pleasure meet to work together in your favor. And in the next and final step, we'll tie all these points into a simple, repeatable system that can be applied to any financial goal. That way, you won't just reach your current objectives. You'll also be prepared to achieve any other goal you set, without losing control or motivation. Now that you know every step, every decision, every choice that can transform your financial life, there's one thing no one else can do for you. Take the first step right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you have time. Not when you feel ready. Because the truth is, waiting for the perfect moment is exactly what keeps so many women stuck in the same life for years. Life doesn't change because you think about changing. Changes when you decide. And that decision is intimate, silent, and irrevocable. It's that conversation you have with yourself in the mirror when you say, I deserve more. I'm going to live differently. Today, what's in front of you is not just a video. It's an invitation. An invitation to a new way of living, where money isn't a burden but an ally. Where you don't work just to pay bills, but to build the life you've always dreamed of. Yes, I know there's a strength inside you that you may have forgotten. but it's still there. And it's asking you to move now. So take a deep breath. Look at what you've already learned. And before you even close this video, do something small, but do it. Because life rewards those who act. And those who start today always go further than those who keep planning for someday. Your moment is now. Your rich, balanced, and soft life begins the very second you say, "I'm going to do it." Have you noticed that the future doesn't arrive as a sudden leap? It comes as a whisper, as small choices made today that change everything tomorrow. Every step you take to take care of your money is, in truth, a step toward taking care of your freedom, your peace, and your life. Don't wait to feel ready to start, because that feeling may never come on its own. Clarity comes along the way, not before it. It's when you open your spreadsheet for the first time, when you say no to an expense you would have said yes to without thinking, when you set aside that first amount, even if it's small, that the game starts to change. Think of everything we've talked about as a map. It won't walk the path for you, but if you take the first step, you'll realize you don't need superhuman strength. What you need is daily consistency. And it's in that consistency that your life will change. And here's the most important point. Your new life doesn't begin when you reach a big goal, but the moment you decide you'll never again settle for less than you deserve. So take a deep breath and make yourself this promise now. I choose to live with abundance, balance, and purpose. I choose to own my money and my destiny. And now, it's up to you. Don't save these ideas for someday that may never come. Time doesn't wait, and every choice you make today shapes the life you'll live tomorrow. Take a deep breath, feel the power that's already within you, and begin. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be now. And if this message spoke to you, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. I want to know how these ideas echoed in your heart. Your participation is the fuel that keeps us moving forward together, creating a space where inspiration meets action.